All right, that's enough for today.
Thanks for teaching me, Arthur. Your techniques are so amazing. Where did you learn them?
They came from my own master, a man named Claudin. He developed them himself.
Wow, they're so graceful. I wish I could move like that.
I've taught you the forms, but for some reason your execution deviates from the ideal.
Well, my body just kinda moves on its own.
You're a handful, Velvet. But I will say you do resemble Claudin some. He was a strange person himself. He always wore this peculiar cape, for instance.
Cape, you say?
Deep down, Claudin was strong like fire, vivacious like water, steadfast like earth, and free like wind. I can't help but admire him to this day.
Wow, I'd love to meet him.
Sadly, that's impossible.
Is he dead?
Yes, he is. He died to protect me. That's why
Wow! I ain't seen people in forever! Not since Artorias and his bunch.
You've met Artorias before?
Met him? Boy, I tell you what, I've done way more than that. Once, we all went adventuring with Artorias and the king himself, if you can believe it. We traveled the world, purifying malevolence and spreading the blessings of Malakim.
Wait, the king?
Yes, ma'am. The one and only King Claudin, who ended the era of darkness.
The Hero King? How could someone from the distant past be traveling with Artorias?
Between you and me, little lady, he used an oath to live about another 300 years. Heck, he was even the former head of the Exorcists.
King Claudin was the head of the Exorcists?
He held that post for a real long time, but then he met Artorias, who was an orphan. The king couldn't have been happier. He found an earnest pupil, a perfect candidate for his successor. But then, things took a mighty sad turn for the worse.
What happened?
All the other Norman who traveled with us are on their way to the place where Claudin died. The place known as Loringen. If you want to know more, you ought to ask them.
It's hard to believe that King Claudin, the former head of the Exorcists, and Artorias' teacher were all the same person.
It's not so unbelievable. Melchior was using the same oath. I'd even go a step further and say that Melchior was imitating Claudin to get in his inner circle.
Hold on. You didn't happen to know Claudin, did you?
Afraid not. I never met the man in person. But I knew he had enough quirks to really get the old geezer's goat sometimes. I mean, he gave up wealth and power to protect the world as an exorcist. The man lived for his work in the same way that a fish lives to swim in the sea.
And Artorias is the one who took his place. For now, let's just focus on getting to Loringen. Listen, Velvet. If nothing else, I think you should find the truth for your own sake. Yeah, I guess you're right. Hey, I've got a question. Were you one of the Norman who traveled with Artorias?
Why, sure! Are you a relative of his or something?
Tell me, what happened here?
No can do. That ain't something I can just go blabbing about.
I'm a follower of Melchior's, who in turn stood behind Claudin. Please, we'd like to know.
Well then, this place is where Claudin died. It all happened more than 10 years ago. Claudin had taken an oath never to kill, but he broke it to save the life of Artorias, his most beloved disciple.
Another death on his hands.
Nah, Artorias didn't do nothing wrong. There was no other way Claudin could have saved the boy. Besides, Claudin had nearly stretched that oath to its limits. Claudin believed in the purity of Artorias' spirit. He entrusted his hopes and the very future of the world to his disciple. Sad thing is, Artorias just kept blaming and blaming himself for the death of his master.
That sounds like him.
So he tried to do everything he could to live up to Claudin's ideals, with no one else to help. He traveled the world teaching folks about Malachine and them dreadful demons, and how important it is to have a pure heart. But people had lived in peace so long, they didn't care for his stories. And in the end, the four Empyreans drifted into slumber. Once again, Artorias felt he had nobody to blame but himself. So what did he do? He started talking about how if we stuck with him, he'd turn us into demons. So he journeyed to the east, all by his lonesome.
He went east.
Say! How is Artorias doing these days? What's he been up to?
Thanks for sharing your story. I know it must not be the easiest thing to talk about.
Midgand has become a dangerous place. You should go back to Norman Island before you turn into a demon.
So, our young head exorcist, racked with despair and helplessness, gave everything up and headed to the east! So then, to Eastgand, I guess?
Maybe to a ball.
Velvet, why don't we stop in a ball? I feel like we're being called there.
Yeah, I feel it too.
Once I saw this place, it all started to make sense. Artorias must have lived a happy and peaceful life here.
Who are you?
Who, me? I'm a Norman who traveled the continent with Artorias years ago. He's been on my mind quite a lot lately. So I followed a rumor that led me here.
That Princessia. Were you the one who put it out?
Nope, wasn't me. It was already here when I arrived. Do you know the deeper symbolic meaning behind the Princessia flower?
It can mean an irreplaceable treasure, or that you wish them well for years to come.
Then the one who planted it was... Yep, that's right. The person lying in this grave saved the life of a certain someone who had been worn down and broken by his mission. Thank you. The poor fellow. He was always so serious. So deadly, deadly serious. And he was practically always being strangled by his own conscience. So much so that he deluded himself into believing he needed to erase the emotions of the human race he so dearly loved. Please, if I may, somehow, some way, set the poor guy free.
Oh, I intend to. But my version of setting him free might be a bit different from yours.
Well, I'm still counting on you, Lord of Calamity. I think I understand Artorias' past now.
Yeah. No matter who you are or how far up the chain you climb, life never entirely goes your way.
You said it. As much as he claims to be a man of reason, he still managed to give in to sentiment enough to plant flowers here.
Not only can he not protect the ones he loves, he can't even permit himself to be free.
Indeed. But I think that's human nature, too.
I suppose. But I'd also say he has an inner strength like no one else. He lost his master and his wife, and yet he overcame those failures to rise again as the shepherd.
I get that. But it doesn't absolve his crimes. I have to settle the score with him.
Yeah.
I'll be with you until the very end, Velvet.
Are you sure that's really something you want to say in front of your sister's gravesite?
All the more reason. She should hear this.